I suppose it wouldn't surprise us to think that Christ would have some kind of supreme knowledge of God. After all, he is God, so maybe we wouldn't be surprised that his human mind would be blessed in that kind of way. But that's not the only way that Aquinas thinks about this. He also wants to ask how the beatific vision, how Christ enjoying the beatific vision, will contribute to our salvation. And to think about that, we need to think, well, what's the beatific vision got to do with us? Aquinas thinks that it's the beatific vision that's the fulfillment of our human lives. It's what brings perfection. It's the ultimate end or purpose of human life. Aquinas thinks there are all sorts of competing ideas for what would make human beings happy. But he thinks what makes human beings happy is to know God. We are intellectual beings among all animals. We are the rational animal, and it's part of the flourishing of the animal that we are, that we have knowledge of the world around us, that we come to know the truth of things. And we can ask all sorts of questions about the world that we're in. We can come to all sorts of knowledge. But in the end, there are things about this world that makes us ask, why is the world here at all? What's the cause of the world? The cause, of course, that we call God. So we want to know God. We want to know what God is. We want to know the essence of God. That's something that can arise out of all the knowledge that we have of God's world. It's not something that we can fulfill for ourselves. There's all sorts of ways that we can know things in the world because we are fitted for knowledge of the world, for knowledge of the material world that's around us. We gain knowledge through our bodies, through our senses, and our intellect can then come to know the world, make our sense, what we sense, intelligible to our minds. But we have no hope of that with God. For one thing, God is not a bodily being. He's not the kind of thing that we can sense. And also because God is infinite, that means he would escape any kind of created intellect. He would transcend any kind of created knowledge. Because created knowledge is always finite, our minds are finite, they're limited, but God is infinite. He is beyond all bounds. The only way that we can come to know God is by God gifting himself to us in a certain way, flooding our minds with his own divine light, elevating the human mind to know God's essence in that way. That's something then that we receive in heaven in the next life when God fulfills us. This life is a life that we live in faith, which in comparison to the light of heaven is obscure. We're walking a path in this life through the obscurity of faith to the clear vision of the next life when our minds will be truly fulfilled. So if salvation is all about us being brought to this goal by Christ, and that this gift or grace of God is brought to us through Christ, through his incarnation, through him assuming a human nature with a human mind, then Aquinas thinks that Christ is going to have the beatific vision so that he can bring us to the beatific vision. He has the beatific vision so that he might share it with us. And we can participate in his vision of God, in his vision of the Father. That's something, though, that is a bit more controversial among theologians of the 20th century and today still. For Aquinas, it was something that everybody accepted. And I think for us, our theological task as disciples of Aquinas is try to explore in more detail how this works within Christ's mission, within his earthly mission, how the beatific vision helps Christ bring us on that path of faith towards heaven. We can see this clearly if we look at the Gospels. We find that Christ is not clueless about salvation. He's not clueless about what he's doing. In fact, he's absolutely clued in that he has this wonderful knowledge of his Father. He knows human hearts. He knows the future. And I think that we can see that it's him having the beatific vision that's able to, as it were, bring divine knowledge somehow into his human mind, a kind of impression of divine knowledge on his human mind, so that the way in which he himself knows God in all eternity, the divine Son knowing the divine Father, somehow his human mind is taken up into that relationship, and the same means by which he knows God, the divine essence, becomes a means by which his human mind can have knowledge of God. When we think about the beatific vision that we are to have, certainly it's a participation in God's knowledge, but there's a way in which all knowledge participates in the knowledge of the Creator. Our faith participates in God's own knowledge. But there's something different about the beatific vision, because there the means of knowledge that God has becomes our means of knowledge, and that means is the divine essence itself. If you think about all the means of knowledge that we have in this life that's natural to us, ideas or concepts, whatever we want to call those things, they're all finite, and none of them can capture the infinite being of God. However, the infinite being of God captures the infinite being of God. That's God's own means of knowledge of himself and of all he does, of all he creates, all he could do. And he shares that means of knowledge. He shares himself with us. And this is exactly what happens in the incarnation. Christ has that kind of means of knowledge. So from that, he can share divine knowledge with his disciples. They believe by faith, but he teaches from vision. He teaches because he knows these things by seeing them. He sees God, he sees the Father, and he sees all things in the Father, and he can make those things then known by faith to us. So for Christ to have the beatific vision is crucial for him to be the kind of teacher that we find in the Gospels, someone who teaches us the things of God and so saves us.